So, welcome to this edition of Volunteer Corner. And we have somebody pretty special today. I happen to know this person pretty well because she lives here. It's our daughter, Abuk Roy. And Abuk, you started volunteering when?
End of April, beginning of May.
Yes, that's right. And you spent a lot of time there. What days do you usually go on? I know there's Monday morning, you go in with Mom, but what else?
Nowadays, it's Monday mornings and Thursday mornings, but when I started, it was Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, every week.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So when you've been at the food bank a lot. In fact, one of our favorite pictures of the food bank is when you first came to Canada from South Sudan 20 years ago or whatever it was. You were riding around in a little tricycle in the food bank warehouse, remember? Mm-hmm. And then we have another picture of you carrying a beer box when you were like 5 years old, but it was full of food from a food drive, and you were doing your best to move it all around. So you've been aware of the food bank, you know how much time it takes for Mom and me to do it. But when you went down that first time to volunteer, what did they have you do?
So the very first day I was placed in extras, so that is bagging things like milk, eggs, and some kind of little desserts for the families.
Yeah.
Sweet treats.
Yeah. And how did you find the overall atmosphere? I think the food bank has obviously changed a lot since you first came, but there's tons of volunteers now. There's tons of people coming in for help. There's tons of trucks coming in dropping food off. Did you find it too busy or too much stuff going on, or was it okay?
It was kind of like an organized chaos, so it was really interesting to kind of see that every position that's there in the food bank and every volunteer, they kind of work like this little gear that's within the system, and we all work together, and it was cool to see how that operates, because it was kind of like breaking down the bones in a skeleton and kind of how everything works to make the whole body function. So you could see a flow of volunteers going this way with carts full of bread and volunteers going this way with carts of veggies, and you would think that everyone would kind of clash or get in the way, but everyone's aware of their space and you move around together. It's really cool.
And when you're there, it's my sense from Mom sometimes films down there, right, Jane Roy? I sometimes film down there, but what I have learned is it always seems to be a good time. Everybody's always joking around, which is kind of not what you expect given the seriousness of what we're trying to do down there. But do you find yourself, I think it's easy to get into that setting, but do you find yourself participating in the joking around and those kind of things?
Oh, absolutely. And most of the time the joking's about me.
Well,
But you would think that because of sometimes the age difference, so there were a bunch of volunteers who are kind of a bit younger and who are now back in school. But even if there are jokes that they like to say are outdated, we'll all kind of make fun of each other lightly, but we'll also kind of work together to be like, hey, okay, so this is what it means. We'll educate each other on it. But no, it's really awesome if someone is kind of behind, or if one place is a little bit more busy than the others, everyone just kind of comes together and we're able to laugh about it versus, okay, no, like this is what you do, this is what you do. So we all help each other out and we make sure that it's a good time, because that's really what it's about. So.
Do you find that, what has it done for you personally? I obviously for people who come down and volunteer, they all take different things away from it in doing it. Many of our volunteers have been there like 20 years, 25 years, so it's really become a part of who they are and their character. What about you?
Well, like you mentioned, the food bank's kind of always been a part of my life, so that was kind of like a daycare for me. So it's been so interesting to go all these years, kind of more to the events, but I've never actually really got my hands dirty and been a part of the volunteer team. So it's kind of felt like that's just filled in the entire whole scene of what the food bank is like, because I got to go from going into meetings with you and Mom to being raised or being taken care of by some of the volunteers that were here. And so for them to even kind of see oh my gosh, this is little Abuk, the one who was around on the tricycle, for them to be able to actually see me be part of it as well, it kind of just feels like really awesome to be able to give in to that and be like, okay, so this is what I've been doing all the years and growing, and now I actually get to be part of it as like kind of a grown-up, but also on the volunteer side outside of just kind of sitting back in the meetings. But
yeah, it's pretty funny because you're now 25, so they're talking about little Abuk from 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Do you find, I've never asked you this, maybe Mom has, I don't know, but do you find that people treat you a little bit different because you're the daughter of Jane and Glen, or no, you don't sense that at all?
Not at all, in all honesty, because people kind of...
So Mom and I don't have any pull, is what you're saying.
Well, they don't always realize that I'm that same Abuk, and I
yeah.
think it is because it's been so long and that I've now like grown up, and so even being there, I'll kind of make jokes if there's a cart coming and Mom will be in the way. I'll be like, hit her, and then people will kind of look at me, and then Mom will go, oh, don't mind her, this is just my daughter, and then they'll put two and two together, and they're like, oh my gosh. So that is kind of fun, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's really interesting. And so there was a day that you were coming down as well, and so everyone was kind of like, oh, Abuk, are you nervous? Both your parents are here, the big cheeses. I'm like, no.
You should have been, but you weren't. Yeah.
I'm good. I was making jokes about interrupting the videos and showing them the crazy side. But
one of the things I've noticed, especially as the number of volunteers has really increased, like we have over 4,000 volunteers altogether helping out at the food bank, but we only have 9 staff, right? So Mom and I often say to people, it's like the volunteers basically run the food bank, right? We go along as staff trying to kind of direct people to certain things. But many of those volunteers have been there for a long time, but they all fit in so well. But I find it so interesting that actually the volunteers really run the place. Do you get that sense when you're there? You do.
Sometimes, yeah. But it's in a really kind of cool, good, trusted way. So being there, I've already been kind of like entrusted to, before I'd be on just one position, and now I'm kind of what's called a floater. So from April to about now, I've been trained on every position. And so it's really been awesome to be able to jump in and help here if needed, or jump in and help here. And so part of what they joke about is, oh, of course Abuk can. She's showing off because she's so young. She can do it this quickly. When all honesty, it really is them who are a lot stronger than I am and knowledgeable because they have been here so long. So I'm looking to them for help.
Yeah.
But no, it's really amazing to see how well that they kind of coach us and guide us, and then they're able to trust us to even us help out, like help them, because we know how important their roles are. And so if we can even help take a load off, then that's what we're there to do.
So this will be aired just after the food drive starts, and this food drive we're focusing especially on kids. And there's been a number of reports that show that 1 out of every 4 kids in London is food insecure. So that's interesting. But we also get lots of kids volunteering at the food bank. So what is that like when you're down there? You have older folks, but there's also kids that are often school groups are in the back, and others as well that all come in. Do you feel that there's a real mixture of generations there, or do you feel no, it's still more of the older folks with occasionally some of the younger ones?
I think you can it's kind of cool to see, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but kind of like, it kind of seems like the progress or like a cycle, because you see these young kids and then you can see what they're learning as like volunteers and I was having a talk about this with one of my friends who's also a volunteer, and she's actually my age, but we were kind of standing back in like awe, and we were like, oh my gosh, this was like us when we were younger. And then of course here are some of the older volunteers watching us being like, oh my gosh, we were there watching them when we were that age. So it kind of feels like watching kind of where the groups would start and how you kind of go through the years, because once a volunteer at the food bank, it kind of sticks with you. So it's just like wholesome, and it's kind of one of those moments where you step back and it's like, wow, you can actually see the impact through cycles, through the generations. And even some of the volunteers will be like, oh yeah, like my granddaughter, my grandson's in that group. And so that's really amazing to see too. So it's just kind of one of those wow moments where it makes you think.
We have some teachers that retired teachers that volunteer for us, but they keep running into their past students at the food bank volunteering as they're volunteering, and there's even been a few teachers that have encountered some of their former students actually being ones that come in for help. And so it's quite I think a challenge. Is emotionally it's also very positive and great, and people are making a difference, but also you're realizing we're helping 6,000 families a month at the food bank, so it's inevitable that some of these paths will cross, right? It's there. I was going to say to you, and I were talking about it this morning, but you started in May or whatever it was, and you've already had over 150 hours, right? So do you feel now it's second nature, or do you feel now that when you go in, there's still a fair bit to learn?
I think it's a bit of both. So it's second nature to jump in and say yes, because it's become so automatic now that every time it's looking at the emails being like, because they'll send out a whole bunch and they're almost immediately filled positions, because there are so many volunteers and everyone's so eager to want to come back and help. But even like if there's a day change, like, hey, are you okay with going for this day permanently? I'm like, immediately yes, no questions asked, because it's just that inviting and that exciting. And every day there really is something new to learn. There's about a new family that you can learn about. There's some of the foods that people can or can't have, and how we kind of can accommodate to that, and how every family gets something. So it's really every day you learn something new, and there's always opportunity for growth, and all you have to do is ask, really. But it's just amazing. It's a place that makes you want to come back. So that's been really fantastic.
And it hasn't been too hard being our kid there, hey? Not too many high expectations on you, whatever. You've just been able to fit in. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. You, if you had a chance to, because oftentimes we run into young people who say, "Well, can I volunteer at the food bank, or how can I do that?" What would you encourage them about coming to the food bank if they came and volunteered? What do you think they would like the best about it?
I think what they'd like the best about it would just the overall. My favorite thing was actually being out there and kind of seeing the families that are coming to get this, and having conversations with them, and just seeing them light up when they get certain items, or being like, oh my gosh, look at all of this that I get. And most of it is their reactions to the fresh fruits and veggies. And for them to even be able to be like, oh my God, now I have this. Now I can experience what just healthy, real food ingredients are like, and seeing what the world is like through their eyes. Because some of us that volunteer, we kind of already have that. Or we have accessibility to that, but just kind of being able to get out of our own worlds and experience that from kind of their eyes and their stories, and just their gratefulness, it just fills you with something else. And so you can feel that vibration flow throughout the entire food bank, and I think that's what brings people back, and that's just what makes it so amazing. Yeah.
I do find it interesting, because when you first came, Abuk, you were about a year old. Your story was all in the media and everything else, and people were interested as to how you were doing. But here we are now 24 years later, and you've kind of been on this narrative about, you've been in and out of the food bank, so on and so forth, and now you're volunteering on a regular basis. Like, that's a lot of hours. But I think that as parents, we're very happy to see that the food bank story is kind of mixed in with your own personal one. That's great. So you can tell we're pretty proud of Abuk. Thank you for all the help, Abuk. Do you think you'll stick at it, or do you think with working with Mom down there is just too hard?
I think it's a bit much with Mom, but she tames herself sometimes.
Yes.
You can see her, but I definitely hope to continue, and I will.